Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I am your teacher Naveed Anjum Naveed with my grammar lessons. Today I brought linking verb for you. Dear students, linking verb is not a new topic for you. In our first lesson on verbs, we talked about linking verbs as well. I told you, I remember, that any form of verb be. And do you remember forms of verb be? It's be, is, am, are, was, were, been, and being. So I told you that any form of verb be, whenever it's used without a main verb, it's called linking verb. Whenever it's used with a main verb, we call it helping verb. And whenever it's used in such a way that there is no main verb following it, we call it linking verb. We'll start today's lesson by recalling the definition of verb. We define verbs as words that show action or state of the subject in a sentence. They either indicate what the subject does or what it is. In every sentence, we remember that the subject either does something or it is something. And verbs are the words that tell us what the subject does or what it is. When the verb indicates what the subject is doing or what it does, then it's an action verb. And when it indicates in what condition or state the subject is, that's a verb of state. So linking verbs are basically the verbs that indicate the state of the subject. In such sentences, no action is taking place. The subject isn't doing anything. The function of the verb is simply to tell us the condition or the state of the subject. And it's basically speaking syntactically from the structural point of view, it's basically linking the subject with its complement. In such sentences, we are told something about the subject. Basically, in every sentence, we are told something about the subject. Subject is the person or thing about which the sentence is, and the remaining is predicate. And in that part of the sentence, we are told something about that subject. We are given some information about that subject. And in the sentences where there is a linking verb, there is a subject, there is linking verb, and something about that subject is told. That's called simply complement or subjective complement. And the purpose or the function of a linking verb is to connect the subject of the sentence with its complement. So let's begin linking verbs in detail. Let's explore them. As we've already said, linking verbs indicate the state of the subject in a sentence. Now, there are 4 different ways in which that state of the subject can be shown. Or we can say that linking verbs form 4 distinct, slightly different groups. The first group of linking verbs simply indicates in which state the subject is. And the linking verbs belonging to this group are all forms of verb be. They are be, is, am, are, was, were, been, and being. Here is an example. She is happy. She is the subject. Is linking verb. Happy, subjective complement. There is no action taking place in this sentence. And this verb is simply linking the subject with its complement. And it's simply indicating in which state this subject is. There is another way in which the state of the subject can be indicated. And here we come to the second group or the second category of linking verbs. We'll call it become group. The first group simply indicates in which state the subject is. This second group indicates transition of state of the subject from one state to another state. She is happy and she became happy. The verb in both these sentences is linking verb. But in the first sentence, it simply indicates in which state the subject is. In the second state, the change of state from one condition to another condition, from one state to another state, is being indicated by this linking verb. She became happy. Even in this second sentence, no action is taking place. Became is also a kind of state, but it's slightly different from the first sentence. In the first sentence and in the second sentence, the state of the subject is being indicated in different ways. The first sentence indicates the state of being, and the second one indicates a state of becoming, changing from one state to another state. Now let's move on to the third category. She remained happy. This category of linking verbs indicates the fact that the subject of the sentence has remained in a particular condition for some length of time. So this one is even different. Now let's move on to the next one. She seems happy. This is another very distinct, slightly different category of linking verbs. They all indicate, they actually give the feeling of the subjects being in a particular condition or state. They give that feeling or appearance to the observer, the listener, that the subject is in a particular condition or state. So they form 4 different groups or categories. Let me explain this concept in Urdu also. पहले ग्रुप में जो कि वर्ब बी की फॉर्म्स पर मुश्तमिल है, लिंकिंग वर्ब सिर्फ ये जाहिर करता है कि सब्जेक्ट किस हालत में है। सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में होने को जाहिर करने वाले लिंकिंग वर्ब्स एक ग्रुप हैं और ये सारे के सारे वर्ब बी की फॉर्म्स हैं। दूसरे ग्रुप में सब्जेक्ट का एक हालत से दूसरी हालत में चले जाना जाहिर किया जाता है। यहां पर भी सब्जेक्ट की स्टेट ही शो हो रही होती है, लेकिन लिंकिंग वर्ब से यह पता चल रहा होता है कि सब्जेक्ट पहले किसी और कंडीशन में था, फिर वो किसी दूसरी कंडीशन में चला गया। जो तीसरा ग्रुप है उसमें सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में कुछ वक्त तक रहने को, इस हकीकत को जाहिर किया जाता है। तो ये थोड़े से मुख्तलिफ हैं। और जो आखिरी ग्रुप है इसको हम सीम ग्रुप कहेंगे। मैंने एग्जाम्पल्स में जो उनमें कार्डिनल या बेसिक नेचर के वर्ब्स थे, जो स्टॉक लिंकिंग वर्ब्स हैं, ये हमेशा ऑलमोस्ट लिंकिंग वर्ब्स होंगे, उन्हीं को इस्तेमाल किया है। सीम विल ऑलवेज बी अ लिंकिंग वर्ब, बिकम विल ऑलवेज बी अ लिंकिंग वर्ब, इज विल ऑलवेज बी अ लिंकिंग वर्ब व्हेनेवर यूज्ड विदाउट, ऑफ कोर्स देयर इज अ कंडीशन व्हेन वी आर डीलिंग विद फॉर्म्स ऑफ वर्ब बी। वर्ब बी की फॉर्म्स को देखना होता है कि साथ कोई मेन वर्ब तो नहीं आ रहा। मेन वर्ब आ रहा हो तो फिर वो हेल्पिंग वर्ब होते हैं, अदरवाइज वो लिंकिंग वर्ब होते हैं। तो जो चौथा ग्रुप है, पहला बताता है सब्जेक्ट किसी खास हालत में है, दूसरा बताता है कि पहले वो किसी और हालत में था, अब वो इस हालत में चला गया, और तीसरे में सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में कुछ वक्त तक रहने की चीज को जाहिर किया जाता है। और चौथे ग्रुप में जो लिंकिंग वर्ब है वो ये तासुर दे रहा होता है देखने, सुनने, मुशाहिदा करने वाले को कि सब्जेक्ट किसी खास हालत में, जैसा कि हो, गोया कि वो किसी खास हालत में हो, सब्जेक्ट का किसी खास हालत में होना महसूस करवाया जा रहा होता है। देखने वाले, सुनने वाले या मुशाहिदा करने वाले पर यह जाहिर किया जा रहा होता है कि सब्जेक्ट इस खास हालत में लग रहा है। और ये वाले जो चौथे ग्रुप वाले लिंकिंग वर्ब्स हैं, ये आपकी सारी सेंसेस से रिलेटेड हो सकते हैं, क्योंकि ये अपीयरेंस से और परसेप्शन से इनका ताल्लुक है। तो कोई चीज़ सुनाई देने में किसी खास हालत में होने का तासुर दे सकती है, किसी खास हालत में सुनाई दे सकती है, दिखाई दे सकती है, महसूस हो सकती है। आपकी चखने की हिस्सा है, आपकी सूंघने की हिस्सा है, सूंघने में कोई चीज़ किसी खास तरह की लग सकती है। तो ये सारे के सारे वर्ब्स जो आपकी सेंसेस को अपील कर रहे हैं और ये एक तासुर पैदा कर रहे हैं कि सब्जेक्ट इस खास हालत में मुशाहिदा करने से, दिखने से लग रहा है, वो भी लिंकिंग वर्ब्स हैं। एंड रिमेंबर कि ये जो चौथे ग्रुप वाले लिंकिंग वर्ब्स हैं, स्पेसिफिकली इनके हवाले से खास तौर पर केयरफुल रहने की जरूरत है। ये हमेशा, सीम तो हमेशा लिंकिंग वर्ब होगा, लेकिन इस ग्रुप में जो बाकी वाली एग्जांपल्स हम आगे चलकर पढ़ने वाले हैं वो हमेशा लिंकिंग वर्ब्स नहीं होंगी। वो सिर्फ उसी सूरत में लिंकिंग वर्ब्स होंगी जब वो सीम की सेंस में यूज हो रही होंगी। मैंने दोनों तरह की एग्जांपल्स इसमें शामिल की हैं ताकि आपको डिफरेंस क्लियर हो जाए। इसी तरह से ये जो बिकम ग्रुप है, जिसमें सब्जेक्ट के एक हालत से दूसरी हालत में चले जाने को जाहिर किया जा रहा होता है, इसमें भी बिकम के अलावा जो बाकी वाले हैं वो हमेशा लिंकिंग वर्ब्स नहीं होते। हम तभी उन्हें लिंकिंग वर्ब मानेंगे जब वो बिकम की सेंस में यूज होंगे। सो लेट्स मूव ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. Let's have more examples of the first group, that's B group, which indicates in which particular condition or state the subject is. Here are the forms of verb B. B is, am, are, was, were, been, and being. Remember, the same verbs can function as helping verbs also. Whenever they are followed by other verbs, they are helping verbs, and whenever they are not followed by any other verb, they are called linking verbs. So in the following examples, we'll look at them carefully and we'll look around them, we'll look after them for other verbs. If there is any other verb coming after them, we'll call them helping verbs, and whenever they're used in such a way that they're not being followed by any other verb, they are linking verbs. So let's take a look at the first example. She is doing her masters. She is the subject, is your verb, doing is also a verb. That's why is helping verb, it's not linking verb, and that's why we've got a cross at the end of this sentence. Take a look at the next example. She is at home. She is the subject, is your verb, and this verb is not followed by any other verb. That's why it's linking verb. Remember the rule, whenever any of these 8 verbs, and all of them are forms of verb be, whenever they are used with other verbs, they are helping verbs. I mean, whenever they are followed by other verbs, they are helping verbs. And whenever they are used alone, whenever there is no other verb following them, they are linking verbs. Look at the next example. They were repairing the fence. Were, of course, is helping verb because repairing is main verb. And hence we've got a cross at the end of this sentence. And they were very lucky. And in this sentence, there is the subject, were, you are linking verb because it's not followed by any other verb. And this verb is linking the subject with its complement. This is how verb be, forms of verb be are used as linking verbs in sentences. And they indicate the subjects being in a particular state. ये सिर्फ बताते हैं कि subject किसी खास हालत में है या था. And now we'll take a look at the next category, that's become group. You can see that become has been written differently, it's been highlighted. It's because it's the central verb in this group of linking verbs. And it's a kind of stock linking verb. Wherever it's used, it's always linking verb. This is not the case with grow, turn, and get, the other linking verbs in this category or in this group. Because in some sentences or in some contexts, they are action verbs. It will depend on how they have been used, in what sense they have been used. So remember the rule, whenever grow, turn, and get have been used in the sense of become or became, whenever you can replace them with become or became without changing the meaning of the sentence, you will call them linking verbs, otherwise not. So whenever you are trying to understand or evaluate grow, turn, or get as a verb, whenever you're trying to classify it as a verb, you should be very, very careful. They are used in totally different senses in different sentences. Let's take a look at the examples. She became angry. Became will always be a linking verb. Become or became, they are always linking verbs. We grow rice. Can I say we become rice? Will it mean the same thing? No, not. It will sound funny, stupid, because grow over here is indicating an action that we perform, that the subject of this sentence performs. That's why it's an action verb and not linking verb. Look at the next sentence. The child grew pale. It means the child became pale. I can replace grew with became and still the sentence means the same thing. Now, grew in this sentence has been used in an entirely different way, an entirely different meaning. It has been used in the sense of become. It's indicating the change of state from one state to another state. This is how they function as linking verbs. They can be used in different ways in different sentences. So we need to be very, very careful when we are dealing with them. Let's take a look at the next example. He turned the handle. I'm sorry, it should have been either he turns or he turned. I made a mistake when I was typing it, so I'm clarifying it through this voiceover. He turns the handle or he turned the handle. Is turn in this sentence linking verb or main verb? We'll have to look closely at its meaning. He turned the handle. He did something. This is an action that he performed. And I can't say he became the handle. That will be stupid. So turn is not a linking verb in this sentence. It has not been used in the sense of become. I can't say he became the handle. Compare this one with the next example. The yogurt turned rancid. It means the yogurt became rancid. Turned can be replaced with became without changing the meaning of the sentence. That's why we'll call turned a linking verb in this sentence. I got a few books. Can I say I became a few books? No, I can't. Because got in this sentence means obtained. And whenever get is used in the sense of obtaining or to obtain, it's not a linking verb, it's main verb. That's an action. Receiving or obtaining or getting, these are actions. Compare this example with the next one. She got upset. Can we say she became upset? Yes, he got upset and she became upset mean the same thing. That's why got in this last example is linking verb. It can be replaced with became. It has been used in the meaning or in the sense of became. That's why it's linking verb. So to sum up this slide, I would say that become is the central verb in this category, the group or category of linking verbs which indicate the change of state from one state to another state, the change of state of the subject. And become is the central verb in this group. The other ones, grow, turn, and get, are called linking verbs only whenever they are used in the sense or in the meaning of become. Whenever they are used in any other sense or meanings, they are main verbs or they are action verbs. They are not linking verbs. And now we'll have more examples of the next category, the third group, that's the seem group. These are the verbs through which the subject gives the feeling or appearance of being in a particular state. ये वो verbs हैं जो सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में होने को जाहिर करते हैं. कोई चीज दिखने में किसी खास तरह की लग रही होती है, किसी खास तरह की महसूस हो रही होती है. And this type of linking verbs can be related to any of your senses. कोई चीज किसी खास तरह की दिख सकती है, सुनाई दे सकती है, महसूस हो सकती है, किसी खास तरह की खुशबू दे सकती है, किसी खास तरह का जायका दे सकती है. So basically all these linking verbs are related to your senses. They are all related to your perception. ऑब्जर्वर को, देखने वाले को, ऑब्जर्व करने वाले को इन वर्ब्स के जरिए से ये जाहिर किया जाता है कि सब्जेक्ट किसी खास तरह की हालत में दिख रहा है, महसूस हो रहा है, लग रहा है. So let's have examples. Seem is the central verb in this category. It will always be a linking verb. And whenever the other verbs in this group appear, look, feel, sound, smell, and taste are used in the sense of seem, they are linking verbs. Whenever they are used in other senses, they are action verbs. We'll have an example of these verbs in both senses in order to compare them and to understand the concept of linking verb more deeply and properly. They appeared in the court. Well, can I say they seemed in the court? No. Appeared over here is a kind of visited the court, or they attended the court, or they came into the court. So appeared becomes an action that the subject of this sentence performed. Compare the example with the next example. The man appeared mysterious. I can replace appeared with seemed. The man seemed mysterious. वो आदमी पुरस्कार लग रहा था दिखने से. Whether you use appeared or seemed, the meaning will be the same. And appeared over here is linking verb because it has been used in the sense of seemed. Take a look at the next example. She looked at me. Did she do something in this sentence? Yes, she did. She looked. Looked means she saw me. Has been used in the sense of see. So it's an action verb, not a linking verb. And I can't say she seemed at me. That would be wrong. Compare this example with the next one. She looked excited. She seemed excited. वो पुरजोश लग रही थी. दिख रही थी या लग रही थी means the same thing. So looked in this second example has been used in the sense of seemed. That's why it's linking verb. So Your seem in this group is the central verb, and it's a kind of standard by which you can judge the other verbs, whether they are linking verbs or not. Take a look at the next example. He felt something in his shirt. Now this felt is main verb. This is an action word. ये महसूस किया है उसने. The fabric feels soft. ये कपड़ा नर्म महसूस होता है. So look at the difference. महसूस करना is the main verb or action verb, और महसूस होना, that is your linking verb. And I can say that this fabric seems, the fabric seems soft. ये नर्म लग रहा है, महसूस हो रहा है, लग रहा है. It's a same thing, kind of same thing. So feels has been used in the sense of seems. But in the first example, he felt something in his shirt. He seemed something in his shirt will have no meaning at all. That will be meaningless expression. So this is the difference. Whenever feel is used in the sense of महसूस होना instead of महसूस करना, that will be linking verb. The god sounded the alarm. Now this one has been used in the sense of blowing something or operating something. This is main verb, action verb. And I can't say that the god seemed the alarm. That will be stupid. Look at the next example. Her story sounded untrue. उसकी कहानी झूठी लग रही थी सुनने में. तो when sound is used in the sense of operating something or ringing something, maybe that's main verb. And when sound is used in the sense of महसूस होना, सुनने में महसूस होना किसी खास तरह का, that is linking verb. And I can say her story seemed untrue. The meaning of both the sentence will be the same. So we'll judge all these linking verbs in this category by comparing them with seem. Whenever they can be replaced by seem or seemed, and whenever they've got a similar meaning, they are linking verbs. Otherwise, they are not. She smelt the rose, and the rose smelt sweet. One smelt is सूंघना, and the other smelt is एक खास तरह की खुशबू देना. So the first smelt is action verb. She did something. The rose smelled sweet, but the rose did not do anything. गुलाब की खुशबू मीठी थी, वो सूंघने में मीठा लग रहा था. It wasn't doing anything, but when she smelled the rose, she actually did something physically. She was performing an action. So smelled in the first example is main verb, and in the second example it's linking verb. And I can't say that she seemed the rose, but I can say the rose seemed sweet, not for the taste of course, but for the sense of smell. So the second smelt, it has been used in the sense of seemed to give a particular kind of appearance or feeling. This is how we defined this type of or this group of linking verbs. She tasted the curry. She did something practically, physically, using her hands and tongue maybe, or using a spoon and her tongue. But the pizza tasted stale. Pizza बासी लग रहा था चखने में. It was actually giving out a particular kind of taste. It wasn't doing anything. अगर कोई चीज चखने में मीठी या कड़वी लग रही हो या खट्टी लग रही हो, तो वो चीज खुद से तो कुछ नहीं कर रही होती ना, चखने वाला कुछ कर रहा होता है ना. सो टेस्ट जब चखने की सेंस में इस्तेमाल होगा तो फिर वो मेन वर्ब होगा, एक्शन वर्ब होगा. और जब किसी खास तरह का जायका देने की सेंस में होगा तो फिर वो लिंकिंग वर्ब होगा. तो ये फर्क आप मलहूज़े खातिर रखिए, इसको याद रखिए कि लिंकिंग वर्ब्स का जो ये वाला ग्रुप है, ये सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में होने को जाहिर करता है, एक एहसास दे रहा होता है. वो एहसास आपकी जो हवासे खमसा हैं, किसी से भी, जो आपकी 5 सेंसेस हैं, उनमें से किसी से रिलेटेड भी हो सकता है. जो लिंकिंग वर्ब्स का पहला ग्रुप था वो सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास कंडीशन या स्टेट में होने को सिंपली जाहिर करता है. बी इज एम आर वॉज वर बिन बीइंग. जो दूसरा ग्रुप था वो एक हालत से दूसरी हालत में जाने की अमल को, बेसिकली वो अमल नहीं, एक स्टेट से दूसरी स्टेट में सब्जेक्ट जा रहा होता है. नो एक्शन इज टेकिंग प्लेस, लेकिन उसकी हालत बदल जाती है, एक हालत से दूसरी हालत में वो चला जाता है, पहले किसी और हालत में था फिर किसी और हालत में चला गया, उसको हमने बिकम ग्रुप कहा, बिकम, ग्रो, टर्न एटसेट्रा। और ये वाला जो वर्ब्स का ग्रुप है, इसमें जो वर्ब है वो सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में होने का एहसास पैदा कर रहा होता है देखने वाले के लिए। एक उसको खास तरह की अपीयरेंस, खास तरह की खुशबू, खास तरह का जायका दे सकता है, खास तरह की आवाज से वो खास तरह का एहसास दे सकता है। तो एग्जाम्पल्स के जरिए से आई ट्राई टू मेक इट क्लियर बाय गिविंग both types of examples. In half of the examples, these words were used as action verbs, and in half of the examples, they were used as linking verbs. And by comparing and contrasting the examples, the concept will become very, very clear. I hope so. And आपके पास जो पैमाना है, यहाँ नापने का पैमाना है seem. इसको सामने रखिए। जब भी appear, look, feel, sound, smell, taste seem की सेंस में यूज होते हैं, they are linking verbs. And now the last group, in which the linking verb indicates that the subject has remained in a particular condition for some length of time. इसमें जो linking verb है ये बता रहा होता है कि सब्जेक्ट किसी खास हालत में है नहीं, बल्कि उस हालत में कुछ वक्त के लिए वो रहा है, उस हालत में मौजूद रहा है। So the fact of the subjects remaining in a particular state for some length of time, these linking verbs indicate that. ये बताते हैं कि सब्जेक्ट किसी खास हालत में कुछ वक्त से, कुछ अरसे से मौजूद रहा है। So let's have examples in sentences. He remained calm. He was calm or he remained calm. Similar meaning, was में सिर्फ उसके उस खास हालत में होने का पता चलता है, और remained में उस खास हालत में कुछ वक्त के लिए मौजूद रहने का पता चलता है। But nevertheless, both these verbs, linking verbs, he was calm and he remained calm, they indicate the state of the subject. The subject didn't do anything. He simply remained calm. वो पुरसुकून रहा। The court stayed the construction project. Now, did the court do something? Yes, it did. It stayed means it stopped the construction project. It has been used in a different sense. This stay is not indicating the state of the subject. It's indicating the action of the subject. The court did something. It stopped the construction project. And I can't say that the court remained the construction project. That would sound meaningless. Look at the next example. He stayed peaceful during the argument. वो बहस तमहीस के दौरान, मुबाहिसे के दौरान पुरसुकून रहा. He remained peaceful during the argument. I can replace stay with remain. So whenever stay is used in the sense of remain, it will be linking verb. And to sum it up, remain and stay, whenever they are indicating that the subject remained in a particular state for some length of time, they are linking verbs. So we actually divide linking verbs into 4 different categories. They all indicate the state of the subject. Remember that. ये जो चारों categories हैं वो subject की state ही show करती हैं. पहले category जो वो B की forms हैं वो सिर्फ ये बताते हैं कि subject किसी खास हालत में है या था. दूसरी category become group जो है वो ये बताते हैं कि वो पहले किसी और हालत में था, अब वो किसी और हालत में चला गया. जो तीसरी category है seem, उसमें verb बेसिकली सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में होने का एहसास दे रहा होता है सुनने, देखने, चखने वाले को, ऑब्जर्व करने वाले को. और ये जो चौथी कैटेगरी है इसमें सब्जेक्ट के किसी खास हालत में कुछ वक्त के लिए रहने के जो फैक्ट है उसको इंडिकेट किया जा रहा होता है. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट लिंकिंग वर्ब्स. द मोस्ट कॉमनली यूज्ड लिंकिंग वर्ब्स आर ऑफ कोर्स forms of verb be. Whenever they are used in such a way that they are not followed by any other verb, they are called linking verbs. But the other verbs, ये जो बाकी वाले verbs आपको बताए हैं ये भी linking verbs हैं in proper particular context. इनको इस context में सीखिए. Especially you should be very very careful when you're dealing with those main verbs which are used as action verbs in some sentences and as linking verbs in other sentences. Going through this lesson twice or thrice will actually help you grasp the gist. वो आपको उसकी जो थीम है या जो उसकी बॉटम लाइन है उस तक पहुंचने में मदद देगी ये चीज़. आप 2-3 बार इस लेसन को देखिए and I hope so after having listen to this, watch this video for a couple of times, you'll be very, very clear about linking verbs. Even then, if you have any questions or problems, you can contact me in the comment section or directly. You have got my contact number, and we can discuss whatever is to be discussed, whatever needs to be clarified. We can discuss it personally. For the time being, that's it. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.